Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 35. Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I was thinking, Katie. Actually, funny. At the Falcons Seahawks game today, there was someone wearing a Seattle SuperSonics Kevin Durant jersey, which I kind of think is a little bit of a try hard move. Like, number one, wearing a jersey of a team that you do not root for at a game that they're not playing in is kind of try hard. But then also like wearing a basketball jersey. Wearing a basketball jersey in general is kind of try hard, in my opinion. I don't know. Yeah.
Especially to a football game. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Did he have an undershirt on, or was it just?
He did. Well, it was.
It
was so cold. I wore shorts because I didn't want, because all I brought were khakis, and I kind of thought it was going to feel nice, so I wore shorts, and it was freezing. A horrible call.
Oh man, that's funny. All right, well, welcome to another edition or episode of the Deep Shot Podcast. We have got a lot of things to talk about. Packed show. College football playoff rankings are final. We have the playoffs; they are set. We have a bracket. We're going to give you guys our own brackets. We got the SEC and Big Ten championship games that happened. The Penn State's got a new head coach. NFL Week 14 Players of the Week. Deep thoughts. We got it all. Before that, just wanted to say thank you to the fans. We have reached over 2,000 followers on Instagram over the weekend. So great job, guys. We've done it. We are officially famous. But just want to say thank you to everyone. Love the support. We're not going to stop here. Got a long way to go, and just want to say thank you. Make sure to follow on TikTok as well. Subscribe on YouTube. Got a lot more goals to hit, and we appreciate you being along for the journey. And then right before we get into the playoff rankings, I just want to tell you guys about Shark Bets. Shark Bets is an app with Jen Piagenti. She is one of the best handicappers out there. Was ranked number 1 in 2024 and 2025. She's got an app on the App Store and on Google Play. If you're on the Android, just look up Shark Bets, and then basically you download the app. There's a 30-day free trial, so completely free to use. And then all of a sudden, once you get in there, turn on your push notifications, and then boom, you get all of her picks right before the games. She got them all out today. Around like an hour before the games on Thursday night, she had an awesome bet that hit David Montgomery over 12.5 receiving yards. He got 13 on one reception. So, make sure to follow that. Shark Bets. That's Shark Bets on Apple and Google Play. Shout out to them. Okay, let's talk about the playoff rankings. The official playoff is out. All right. And the biggest news of the day is obviously Miami has gotten in over Notre Dame. It finally happened at the last hour. They've said, all right, here we go. Miami, the head-to-head has to matter, which was the right decision, and I think we all agree that that was what needed to happen. It's just obviously the process of how we got there was shaky. BYU had to lose essentially for this to happen, and not only did BYU lose, Duke had to beat Virginia, and I think that kind of really pushed it to where we got in this situation where they had to put Miami in. Like, let me just ask you guys this: do you guys think Miami would have got in if Duke would have, like, if Virginia would have won? Do you think Miami would have still got in? Do you think they would have still put the head-to-head over them?
I think so. I think so. I think the only thing that would have changed in that scenario would be JMU wouldn't be in. But it is a good question because, is it they finally decided that Miami and the head-to-head has to matter? Or was it them getting to it and saying, oh, crap, there's not going to be a single ACC team represented in the college football playoff. Like, we got to do something. And I don't know if we're ever going to know the answer to that. I probably think we never will know the answer to that.
Yeah, I really just think it's all about merit. Like, I don't think it was to do with the conference, like, oh, we still got to squeeze somebody in, whatever scenario be damned. Like, this is just the way it played out in my book. And I think they did the right thing, personally.
Yeah, no, I definitely did the right thing. The rankings in general. So obviously Indiana's number 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3. I personally thought Georgia would get the 2 seed there. Just because they won the conference championship in dominant fashion. Did not happen though. So Ohio State gets the 2, Georgia's the 3, Texas Tech is the 4, Oregon is the 5, Ole Miss is 6, A&M is 7. Oklahoma's 8, Bama's at 9. A lot of people obviously upset about that. How they didn't move. A first 3-loss team never made the playoff. Is Alabama. Number 10 is Miami, obviously sneaking in, and then 11, Tulane, and 12 is James Madison. Insane playoff we have here, like looking at it and how we're going to have 2 G5 teams playing as like 3-score underdogs already out on all the sports books and everything. Just when you guys look at the first round, of games, like, are you satisfied? Or I don't know, looking at it, it's like we're going to have 2 good games, hopefully,
Yeah. 2 good games, and then we're having 2 rematches. We've already seen Tulane and Ole Miss play, and Ole Miss smacked them. I think it was 42-10, something like that. And then we just watched Alabama, Oklahoma just a few weeks ago, in Tuscaloosa. Now this one's going to get played, in Norman, and that should be interesting. I'm not necessarily upset with that. I kind of wish they would have knocked Bama down to 10, so we could have gotten Miami and Oklahoma, and then Bama A&M. I thought that would be a little more parity, like we've already seen 2 games, like give us something we haven't seen. Oregon's going to kill James Madison. Ole Miss is going to kill Tulane. So that leaves us with only 2 other games. But I'll tell you what irritates me is that the Miami Texas A&M game is being played at 11 a.m. local.
Yeah. It's ridiculous how they played it out. I think they were trying to describe the scenario, how it happened. I think maybe TNT had the rights to the later games or something like that.
And it's the TNT has 2 games. It's the James Madison Oregon game and the Tulane Ole Miss game.
Yeah. So apparently they got TNT gets last pick of the games, but they get the primetime slots. So ESPN was obviously going to take the big teams or the 2 big games. Caleb, what do you think about that opening round?
I'm a little underwhelmed. I mean, it's hard not to be, honestly, when you're looking at 2 group of 5 teams in this whole thing, and like you think Vanderbilt and BYU, you can say whatever you want to about how they showed up. They'd play Ole Miss or Oregon tougher than either of these 2 teams are going to show. So, and then you talked about it just a second ago. Alabama, Oklahoma is a rematch, and in my opinion, both of those teams are about playing as bad as they have all year right now. So that's not going to help the product there. I personally have one issue with the ranking though. I think A&M should be in front of Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss should be the 6th seed. If you're going to sit here and tell people that, when coaches and players are not going to be there, it's going to contribute to the factoring of where your seating at is in the playoff, and then do it to somebody else but not them, I don't think Texas A&M is worse than Ole Miss, especially if Lane Kiffin is not in the building. So excited to see him, though. I'm really the Texas A&M game is definitely, in my opinion, the most interesting, just because we hadn't seen the matchup. And funny enough, people that were barking about Notre Dame or whatever online, I wonder how they would play against either of those 2 teams. Oh yeah, we've already seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. No, I mean, I'm excited to see in Miami for sure. I think Oklahoma, Alabama, with all the time to prepare, will definitely be in an interesting matchup this time in Norman. So, yeah, that's super exciting. I wanted to go ahead. I know I said this on the previous pods that whenever we got here, I would go through our preseason picks. So I just want to go through these real quick and show you guys what we had in the preseason first episode we had of season 4. So my 12-team playoff looked like this. Number 1, Texas. Wrong. Number 2, Oregon. There I am, not the right number. 3, Clemson. Wrong, obviously. 4, Georgia. 5, Ohio State. 6, Michigan. 7, LSU. 8, Penn State. 9, Bama. Nailed that one right on the nose, huh? How about that? 10, Baylor. 11, Miami. Really close to nailing that one. And Boise State was my 12th team. Georgia, that didn't work out at all. Georgia versus Oregon is my national championship in the preseason, so that one is actually still alive if you look at the bracket. So how about that? You never know. And actually, could happen. Very reasonable to think. Jake's preseason prediction here. We have Ohio State, number 1 seed, really close to almost happening. He did say that they were going to go undefeated. Props to you for that, Jake. They got almost done with that. 2 is Clemson. Obviously not in. 3 was Georgia, so you nailed that one right on the nose. 4, Oregon, very close. 5, Texas. 6, Kansas State. 7, Penn State. 8, LSU. 9, Notre Dame. 10, Baylor. 11, Georgia Tech. And 12, Georgia Southern.
You had Baylor too?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you misspoke, but you did have it. You did, at least.
Must have been his Big 12 champ.
No, he had Kansas State as his Big 12 champ, but he was really respecting Baylor's strength of the schedule coming up. But you did have Georgia versus Ohio State in your national championship. Obviously, that cannot happen. But you had Georgia. Me and Jake both picked Georgia to win a national championship. So those things are still alive. And then here's the rough one. So cover your ears. Caleb Spears' playoff prediction. Number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Penn State. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Notre Dame.
Man.
Number 5, Bama. Georgia at 6. So there you go. You hit some. Arizona State, 7. Ohio State, 8. Oregon, 9. Georgia Tech, 10. LSU, 11. and give yourself a pat on the back for this one. Tulane was your 12th team.
Wow, there you
So
go.
there you go. You did project that. You had Clemson versus Penn State in a national championship. Not sure that will happen. So that's just to give you a little bit of what we projected before the season. So now I would like to go through what we think will happen this year now that we have the actual bracket. I want to just go through and all of us give a quick prediction of how we have the bracket going right now. So I'll go ahead and start off. For James Madison, Oregon, I do have Oregon winning that game, going to play Texas Tech. I've got Oklahoma beating Alabama because Oklahoma owns Alabama. So you have to just assume that Oklahoma's going to win that game. So Oklahoma will be playing Indiana. Tulane is Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss going to play Georgia, and Miami A&M. I got A&M going to play Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. That will be the New Year's Eve night game, by the way. In the quarterfinals, I've got Oregon beating Texas Tech. I have got Indiana beating Oklahoma, Georgia beating Ole Miss, and Ohio State beating A&M. So we've got Oregon versus Indiana and Georgia versus Ohio State. And I'm just going to go with my national championship prediction before the season, Georgia versus Oregon. Still alive, and I'm picking Georgia to win the national championship. So Georgia looks like one of the best teams in the country, if they're not the best team in the country right now. I mean, that win against Alabama, we'll talk about that in a second. But hey, I've got my preseason prediction alive, and I'm going to run with it.
Good for you. Good for you. Glad you got that opportunity. Not many people in the world that are covering this business can say that out loud, so props to you.
Thank you.
All right, so starting off, just going from top to bottom. So I'm going to go with Oregon to beat James Madison. Really shouldn't be too much of a test there. JMU was struggling with Troy the other night, was really hoping Troy would beat them. So Oregon's going to roll James Madison. The Bama-Oklahoma game was tough to me because there's a part of me that thinks that Bama can finally get over the hump, but the game being in Norman, I'm going to stick with my guns and say Oklahoma beats them again. So Oklahoma moves on. Ole Miss is going to kill Tulane, and then I have Miami beating Texas A&M in College Station. So Texas A&M, Miami, Ohio State. Ohio State's going to move on. Georgia, Ole Miss. I have Georgia winning that one. Oklahoma, Indiana. I'm going to go with Indiana beating Oklahoma. Was really tempted to say Oklahoma beat Indiana, but I'm just...
that would be awesome.
Oregon, Texas Tech. I have Oregon winning that one. And then Georgia, Ohio State. I have Georgia moving on. Shocker, I have Georgia winning the national championship. And then in the Oregon-Indiana game, I'm going to say that Indiana beats Oregon, and then Georgia beats Indiana in the national championship.
There we go. God, who would have thought Georgia, Indiana?
Yeah, right.
None of us picked Indiana to go back to the playoffs, by the way.
Stunned by that a little bit.
I don't think many people did, though.
I was looking at I started a new dynasty on college football today with some friends, and I was looking at the preseason poll. Indiana was 22 to start the year.
Should have known when they beat the Kennesaw State Owls by like 50 that they were going to be a good team this year.
And then Illinois, who was 10th, by the way, at the time. All right, so for my bracket, I've got Oregon steamrolling JMU as well. Like Jake talked about, they struggled the other night. I think that's going to be the biggest blowout of the weekend. Ole Miss is going to smoke Tulane. We've already seen that. I think they beat them by 35 the first time they played them. I don't think it's going to be much different. It may be a little closer, but just a talent mismatch by and large there. A&M and Miami, I picked Texas A&M to win. I think Carson Beck's going to be rattled by the pass rush at some point in the game and turn the ball over. I'm not going to bank on them being inconsistent or bank on them being consistent after what I've seen them against SMU and Louisville earlier this year. Oklahoma, Bama. I took Bama, and I'll tell you why. I think that the last time the real difference in the whole game was a pick six in the turnover battle. And it was like -3, Bama. I just don't expect them to do that again. Talking about Oklahoma forcing turnovers and just turning the game upside down. So I'll take Alabama there. And maybe they'll be able to run the ball for more than 0 yards next time they step on the field.
-3. I love the stat. Sorry to interrupt you, but I love that stat that someone posted yesterday. It was like SEC teams rushing yards in the conference championship week. Georgia first, everyone else tied for second at 0, and then Alabama -3 last.
Insane. Moving on from there, I've got Oregon beating Texas Tech. Really only picked that because of my theory that the bye teams struggle when they come out, especially if they've never been there. Texas Tech's never been there. I got Bama getting beat by Indiana. They're going to probably run for 0 yards in that game. Indiana's defense is ridiculous, so they move on. I've got Ohio State beating A&M, and then I've got Georgia beating Ole Miss. I think that game will not be nearly the show that it was last time. Big round here. I'm going Indiana and I'm going Georgia. I've got the same natty as what Jake said, and I got Georgia winning the whole thing. And I just think it's just going to be like a culture thing at the end of the year. Indiana probably, and we saw it a little bit yesterday, but like they're like an injury or two away from their team going from like really, really good to like there's some obvious holes. Like if Omar Cooper or Surratt are not available at any point during this playoff run, they're going to be in some serious trouble.
Yeah. And you had Ohio State beating A&M? Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, we've all got Georgia winning a national championship. What could go wrong? But let's talk about Georgia SEC championship game. Georgia dominated Alabama 28-7. Man, did that feel good sitting there on set yesterday. Like I was texting you guys, I was trying to stay calm, not get ahead of myself, but it was an absolute ass whooping from, I would say first couple drives, it was a little even, and then as soon as that block punt happened, it was all Georgia for the rest of the game. All three phases: offense, defense, special team. The stat they put up that Georgia was 17-0 with they have a blocked kick under Kirby Smart, moved that to 18-0. Bama's offense has been on a steady decline for a month now, and I just want credit for calling that out because I said that back after the LSU game, and he started missing passes, and it was just obvious for the last month that things were going wrong with Ty Simpson, and it showed up big in this game, which I thought coming into this game like that they were somehow going to get it fixed. But credit to Glenn Schumann and the defense. They came out with a great plan. They sacked Ty Simpson 3 times. He threw an interception in this game. I mean, they were all over him. They had him uncomfortable. That was another thing I said like earlier in the year when Ty Simpson was, getting like the best quarterback in the country talk and everything. And I said, it seems like he just has all the time in the world. And now it seems like teams are dialing up more pressures, taking that Oklahoma tape and running with it, and it shows out big. Alabama still has no run game. They were awful on third down, so that was a total flip from the first game. The best field position Alabama had the all game was their own 25. Georgia, on the other hand, they didn't have like the most dominant offensive performance at all, but I mean they had great field position because of special teams. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone, won the time of possession, won the turnover battle. Just an awesome game. Monkey off the back moment for Kirby Smart for Georgia to beat Alabama. Alabama had never lost to Georgia in an SEC championship, had never lost. I think it was 17 wins in a row in Atlanta. Last time they lost was to Tim Tebow, like back in like 08. So awesome game. Georgia is peaking at the right time. Ever since November started, they've looked awesome, and godly, that felt good, huh?
It felt incredible. It felt absolutely incredible. And, not made this about me, but hashtag Jake was right. Jake was right. This Bama team is not the Bama team that we're just used to them being. And over the last month, if you've really paid attention, the Ty Simpson regression is real. If he does not have a run game, which, my God, 16 carries for -3 yards is impressive. If that is against Northwestern, anybody in the country, if that is an FCS team and you hold them to -3 yards, that's impressive. Much less the University of Alabama. That is an insane stat. I don't care how bad their run game has been all year, whatever. -3 yards is insane. On game day, yesterday morning, Kirby made a great prediction. He said, seems like these games always come down to a huge special teams play. And yeah, like you said, Garrison, as soon as that punt was blocked, it was like we just took the air right out of Alabama. We were able to score right after that. And then Bama was playing from behind from that point on. You're right. Georgia's offense did not look great, but we dominated in special teams, not just that blocked punt. In every single situation, every single time we needed a big play, get a punt return, a good kick return. I guess it was only one kick return. We were up about 21 at that point, but it was a great three facet win in offense, defense, and special teams. I was really excited to see. I think we pressured Ty Simpson 17 times in this game. One of the biggest issues for our defense this whole season has been pass rush. Seems like that has been cured. We're finally able to get after the quarterback, and like you said, we are peaking at the right time. And I think after watching the Big Ten championship game last night, like, don't get me wrong, I think Ohio State is a really talented team. I think Indiana is a really talented team. I think Oregon's good. I think Texas Tech's good. I think Georgia stacks up better than any other team in the country, and it's set up for us to win. It is set up for us to do it. Gunner was very efficient yesterday. You look at the stat sheet, 156 yards. That's something to go crazy about, but 20 for 26 with 3 touchdowns. That's dang good. Added 40 on the ground. It was really good to see. Special shout out to Zachariah Branch. I don't know where we would be if we did not have Zachariah Branch, because he is easily our best weapon on offense. And I know that Mike Bobo loves him because he makes those wide receiver screens that Bobo likes to call. He makes them look like a genius. Just get the ball, grab the laces, fire it to one, and let him move.
And the electricity when he gets the ball is unmatched. Like the cuts and the way he can move his feet, and that screen that he had, I mean, it looked like he was bottled up, and he was able to the burst that that guy has is awesome.
It was a really good decision by Georgia to take that personnel decision on. A lot of people I think were kind of afraid of Zach Branch coming out just because it kind of went downhill towards the end of USC. But I mean, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. He's got to be top 3 receiver in the SEC. I think the ones that Texas A&M got are like 1, 2. But after that, I'd probably take Branch over the rest of them. Big stat for me this game. Like if you go and look at what happened in the second and third quarter, Bama did not have a first down in either quarter. They 3 and out at 3 times in the third, and were 3 and out twice in the second. And one of those resulted in a block punt. So big time adjustments from Schumann to just kind of lock that thing down. And look, whenever you're a team like Alabama, that we've been saying on this podcast for 15 weeks now about the holes that this team's got, they're obvious. Everybody else sees them just as much as we do. And whenever you finally get the game plan honed in, and game 13, it's going to look very formidable to shape up to stop whatever you're doing schematically that they've been trying to get away with instead of running the ball. Like the little quick screen stuff, not there. Ty Simpson's dropping back 1st and 10 and trying to throw the ball like 10 or 15 yards downfield. Not a recipe for success. And so he has more incompletions than he does completions yesterday and turned the ball loose 40 times. So obviously not going to be productive for them. And I'll tell you, it's shocking to me the Bama trajectory all year, right? Because they lose. They're coming out hot. Everybody thinks they're really, really good coming into the season. Kalen DeBoer's talking them up. Bam, lose to Florida State. Then they go on a insane run, like the most ranked SEC wins in a season ever in conference play. And they were all like in a consecutive month. So they had that, and then bam, they run into Oklahoma tape, like what Garrison's talking about, where people started turning loose on them and moving the fronts a lot. People figured out that Bama couldn't protect, and when Bama can't protect Ty Simpson, he is not that great. Neither is any quarterbacks. Good for Georgia. I think they're set up well, and they needed the bye week too. Like getting healthy is going to tremendously help their efforts going forward for the playoff. Just getting an extra 2.5 weeks off compared to what the other teams are getting.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be awesome. They're playing in New Orleans, getting redemption from last year potentially in the Sugar Bowl. So awesome game. Let's talk about the Big Ten championship game. Indiana 13, Ohio State 10. Do not doubt Kurt Cignetti. I mean, Jake talked about it a little bit in the group text yesterday about how this is, probably the best turnaround in college football history. But we talked about last week how if Indiana, or Caleb really talked about it, if, Indiana wanted to win this game, it was going to have to be a slugfest. The first play of the game, it looked like Mendoza was going to be hurt and be out the whole time. He comes back in, and he did just enough to win. The defense is obviously the story of this game for Indiana, which I was very skeptical if they, were going to be able to hold. I mean, if I told you that Indiana was going to score 13 points in this game, there's no way you thought they would win. I mean, come on. They held Ohio State to 58 yards rushing. They sacked Julian Sayin 5 times, and another missed kick for Ohio State in the postseason, basically a glorified extra point, and they can't make it. They lost their first game since they lost to Michigan last year. Brutal performance from Ohio State offensively, and that's credit to Indiana's defense, Kirk Cignetti. That was just a shocking result for Ohio State to basically be shut out. They were shut out the entire second half, and no, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No. And it's just like how Ohio State went about their business for the majority of, honestly, the majority of the game. You can even look at, the second quarter on. They just look so, like, I don't know the exact word that would be best for it, but the one that's coming to my mind is lackadaisical. It seemed like they just felt like they had enough time. They're good. Like, man, you got Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Why are you not taking more shots? Well, Jeremiah Smith ended the game 8 catches, 144. Like, that's really good. But stat sheets lie. He was big, but there were just so many opportunities where Ohio State needed to put their foot on the gas and try and just outrun Indiana. And they never did it. They just never took that opportunity and ran with it. And I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in Ohio State. Now, obviously, Indiana has a really good defense, and I think that has a lot to do with it. They were probably had a lot of scheming and, to try and limit it to an extent. I mean, I just look back on the Ohio State run to the national championship last year, and it was, we are going to throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith no matter what. You are not going to be able to cover him, and we're going to score 50 points. Like, where is that mindset yesterday when the game's on the line, when the season's on the line? I guess not the season, but when the Big Ten championship is on the line. On the flip side, you look at Indiana, 3rd and 6, about 2 minutes left. Ohio State has 1 timeout left. What are they going to do? They're probably just going to run the ball, right? You make Ohio State use that last time out and then punt it back to them. No, they're taking a shot downfield to Charlie Becker and to ice the game. And that's the difference. That was the difference in the game. Was Indiana played, with their balls on the line, and Ohio State just seemed like they were scared to make a mistake for the better part of this game. So huge props to Coach Signetti. I think it is the best coaching job we've ever seen. I mean, you can say, like, obviously you want to look at like the best coaches in college football history, like for the vast majority of them, they're going into universities that have some sort of footprint. Alabama was great before Nick Saban. Georgia was great to a lesser extent before Kirby Smart. Clemson was great before Dabo, however you want to say it. Indiana football has never been anything. They were projected I was watching a bunch of stuff about Sig this morning, but when he was hired, they were projected to finish 17th in an 18-team conference. 17th, and then boom, we're looking 2 years later.
They have the most losses out of any team in college football ever. Indiana,
yeah,
I don't
back-to-back playoff appearances.
They're
the
number one
team in the country. It's incredible. And just last thing I'll say, Fernando Mendoza is one of the most interesting people I've ever listened to in my entire life in a post-game conference. Like, that guy
flipping.
is an odd man. He's a very odd
up.
Man, but I love it. I love it for him.
He seems like he's super smart, though. Like, I feel like that's going to play well with NFL coaches, like in like front offices. I thought about that last night when I was watching all the interview stuff. Was able to watch this game on a ride home from a wedding, and funny enough, at the wedding, shout out my boy Josh, congrats. I turned the TV on to both the Georgia game and the Indiana game during the wedding ceremony and reception thereafter in the building. So hats off to them for letting us do that. Not making everybody suffer. They understand the constraints of the day and all that stuff. It was a great time. The best part of this whole thing was seeing the whole Ohio State meltdown. Like, you get it towards the very, very end. And the game script went just exactly what I talked about in the last podcast, where it needed to be kind of uptight. And you get down there and you miss the easiest kick that you've had all year. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Ohio State has another kicker on the roster too. And he kicked at Ball State last year. And I think he's over his career better than the guy they have kicking there, which is odd. It's pretty bad luck for Ohio State to continue to get bad beats on the kicking game, but they had multiple opportunities for this to not come down to one kick. If Julian Sayin didn't, make some critical mistakes on 3rd down, his stat line looks pretty decent, but it's only because like they were able to hit a couple big plays with Jeremiah Smith here and there. They were terrible in the red area, and they could not run the ball. I think they had like 10 yards rushing at halftime, which is insane to ever think that Ohio State would be put in that position. And credit to Indiana, man. Like, nobody, like you guys said, would have thought they'd ever be here. Just to sit here and say that they are the number 1 seed in the Big Ten champs is crazy to me. And just, I never thought that Ohio State could lose. Like, I understand it's a dumb thing to say, but what I mean by that is the talent level on defense. Like, there's 5 first-rounders on their defense, and they've got 2 first-rounders at least on offense, and they were not able to put together the game that they needed to win yesterday. And it came down to the guy that swings his right leg.
Yeah, insane. If you didn't know, Ohio State hasn't won the Big Ten since 2020. They played Northwestern in that game, so it's been quite of a drought for the Buckeyes up there. Okay, let's do a little bit of college football wrap-up from the coaching carousel. Ever since we last talked, Penn State finally got a head coach. They hired Matt Campbell from Iowa State. I know we've all talked about being Josh Pate listeners, and he definitely was banging that drum for like 3 months now, and now they finally decided to hire him. Penn State's former head coach, James Franklin, funny enough, he rehired the old head coach, Brent Pry, to be the defensive coordinator there. So that's quite a reunion. Caleb's team, Florida, hired Buster Faulkner, the Georgia Tech OC, to be their offensive coordinator. And the former Florida head coach, Billy Napier, now at James Madison. He's got a team in the playoffs, basically.
There you go. There you go. Playoff bound.
Yeah. So, Caleb, anything about the new head coaching moves?
First of all, I just want to say good for Billy. Happy for him. I've said y'all have heard on this podcast, if you've been listening long enough, that I am a big Billy Napier fan as a human. Don't like him as a coach on the field. Saw a very interesting tweet from a James Madison profile that was like, all right, now for the OC hire. And I just got one thing to tell you, buddy. You don't know what you just got yourself into thinking Billy's going to hire an OC. You better get ready to deal with the music for a couple of years. It's not coming anytime soon. Brent Pry going back to Virginia Tech, I think it says a lot about Brent Pry and James Franklin both to even be bold enough to ask the guy to come back. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'll do it because it's exactly where I want to be. I don't have to move my house. I still get to keep my money. They gave me a buyout, but now I'm working for them again. So they still owe me cash, but they're going to pay me more. Pretty sweet deal. Pretty sweet deal. And then for the Matt Campbell situation, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but apparently Penn State reached out to Matt Campbell early on when right after they fired James Franklin, but they reached out to his old agent. And so the old agent never told Matt Campbell. So he had for months not even heard about the job. And it finally got word to him this week. And when they figured it out, he went ahead and told the AD at Iowa State to go find your guy. And as soon as Matt Campbell was announced as the head coach of Penn State, Iowa State announced their guy as well. So you talk about how to run a building, how to handle your business on a coaching change. That's how you handle your business.
Yeah. The Brent Pry situation is probably one of the most unprecedented things I've ever seen in all of sports ever. Because it's just all those players that he recruited. It's probably good for retention, if anybody wants to leave because they were Brent Pry's guy. I want to play for Coach Pry. I guess they ain't leaving no more. But just the dynamics of it just seems so awkward. I saw a tweet saying, when James Franklin addresses the locker room, he says, we need to change the culture around here. Brett Price can be like, well, what's so wrong with the culture? That's what I built. Really, really, really interesting. I'm excited to see Buster Faulkner. I'm glad to see him leave Georgia Tech because, like I've said on this podcast before, I haven't really thought much about Georgia Tech ever in my life because there's little brothers. But this year they really pissed me off. And I am excited to watch that program go back.
Yeah, it's on me that I just completely skipped over the hire from my own school when I was going over my review there. But super stoked about that guy getting to be in Gainesville. I think if you were a program that just got a new head coach, the number one OC you were probably thinking of was either him or Charlie Weiss Jr. That guy got taken by his old former boss to the new place. So not many names out there that are bigger time for offensive football. And you go and look at what Georgia Tech's been able to do since he took the reins of that place. It was an offense that was near the in efficiency and production, and now it's in the teens. And this is with, say what you want to, under talented team compared to what most of the teams that they're going up against and beating or playing competitively with. So he's excellent in the run game too. Summerall's going to be a defensive coach. He's going to want to run the football. I hope DJ Lagway, if he stays, better get a bigger shoulder pads next year because it seems like he's going to be toting the mail a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And one other thing just about the Penn State is before that Matt Campbell hire got official, there was that – did you guys see the leaked audio of the Penn State AD basically just talking mad shit on a bunch of other schools for 35 minutes? And someone recorded the whole thing and it got leaked. Just absolutely insane. It seemed like obviously an hour or two later they had a head coach, but it seemed like it was about to get really bad. Did you hear that clip, Caleb?
I did. And look, Pat Kraft's been on a lot of people's bad list here as of recent, and just the fact that he tried to reach out to a coach and it's came out that he called the wrong guy. And look, the walls were closing in on him. You can say whatever you want to. He just blew up the team. He fired the coach that got them to the playoff last year. They signed 2 recruits in their signing day the other day, and because they've been running their feet on these other coaches that haven't been able to, gain traction at Penn State. So listen, he's probably got some things to yell about. He probably shouldn't do it in front of the players and should have probably taken the phones up before he did all that.
It just seems I don't know. I bet he is under just an immense amount of pressure right now. How the coaching search has gone, he's probably just busting at the seams. But that whole situation just screams immature. Like that you're going to get in front of your guys and say that. I mean, even if he believes they're not that far off from Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon, and all these teams, it just is odd. I'll say this: it's weird, like addressing them by name. I don't know if that resonates with y'all at all, but I feel like if you go up there and you're like, yeah, we're not that far away. We need to stay confident. But going up there and just naming off schools that are clearly in a better position than you just seems, I don't know, like very deflective.
That's a guy that's trying to act tough in front of a bunch of dudes that are way tougher than him, and he's never been in that position, nor does he have somebody in the building to check him for saying some dumb shit like that.
All right, let's talk about NFL Week 14, almost in the books. Wanted to start off on Thursday real quick. The Lions did beat the Cowboys 44-30. Jahmyr Gibbs went off, had 3 touchdowns. Cowboys offense, there was, was able to kind of make it close there at the end for a little bit, but was really stagnant in that first half. Huge for the Lions offense, and I just really am upset looking back about letting Jahmyr Gibbs go in our fantasy football league.
Yeah, we were both pretty wrong on this game. I think we were all saying that the Cowboys were going to continue to roll. Did not happen. Did not happen, unfortunately. And dude, what's up with George Pickens? He was just like balling out. And then the other day, when I need him the most in fantasy football, he gets me 7 points. And then Dak throws an absolute dime that just lands right next to his right foot. And he just doesn't even look for it. George Pickens is just an interesting guy. He's such an interesting guy. On Thanksgiving, he's hurdling people. But then 1 week later, he looks like he has absolutely no desire to even play football. Like, what's his problem?
You guys should know is whatever they're teaching them up there at the University of Georgia, in my opinion.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, he had those problems at Georgia too. I don't know. That guy is just he's interesting. Okay, let's move into the Sunday slate. Bills beat the Bengals 39-34. They come back. This game was very interesting at half. I think the Bengals had like an 11-point lead in this game at one point. Looked like, maybe they had some juice with Joe Burrow coming back. And then the Bills just at home have 21 points in the fourth quarter, making some big plays. Their defense got a huge pick 6 on Joe Burrow to take the lead, and they stay alive in this playoff. Because, if they were going to be sitting at 8-5 after this game, it was going to get rough. The Bengals basically put any slim playoff chances away, but a huge win for the Bills to stay alive, but kind of still a little bit behind the Patriots, but staying alive in that wild card, because this AFC wild card race, I'm not sure if you guys looked at it, is getting packed.
Yeah, this is an important game for the division, and the whole scenario about the Bengals maybe still staying involved in their division. Now that's kind of out of the way that the Steelers won again today. But with Buffalo, they needed to get a dub at home right here. Snow game that was in their elements. You would think Cincinnati would not be able to come up there and just jump on their throats like they did early in the game. But like you said, it was a scare at halftime. But Josh Allen made enough plays towards the end of the game to get them the result they needed to continue to chase the New England Patriots, by the way.
It was just Josh Allen in the snow just looks right, but also Joe Burrow in the snow just looks right. Yeah, I don't know what it is of him. He's an SEC guy, but he's had multiple games with Cincinnati in the snow where he just balls out. I know everyone knows that video of him throwing the ball and then keeping his arm up in the air and then like twirling around. It's kind of overplayed and kind of cringy at this point, but everyone knows of that gif. Every single person, if you follow football, knows of that video.
These games, like with the Bills and Bengals, dude, like they're visually appealing, and the snow just made it better because it's already a good like jersey clash, like to me the colors and stuff, it already pops off the screen, and then you get the snow and there's people jumping on tables in the stands or whatnot because it's Buffalo.
And today was a huge day for the Steelers, with the Bills beating the
Bengals.
The Bengals, and then the Steelers being able to beat the Ravens. A huge day for them. Huge.
Yeah, the Steelers did beat the Ravens 27-22. And the Ravens kind of came back a little bit to make it look close, but the Steelers really kind of dominated this game. The Aaron Rodgers after the game said, hopefully you guys will all shut the hell up for a week to the media, which total Aaron Rodgers move. Love it. But they are 7-6, and the Ravens are now 6-7.
6-7.
So
it's not good.
Yeah. The Ravens, I think these two teams do play again, and so they'll have a chance. And the Ravens still have an objectively easy schedule. And I don't trust either of these teams. Like, I think whoever wins the AFC North is not going to win a playoff game.
Yeah. There's two conferences, two divisions in the NFL right now that not a single team has a positive point differential. It's the NFC South, which is definitely the worst division in all of the National Football League, and the AFC North, surprisingly enough, because I feel like everyone really thought that the Ravens, Steelers, and at least the Bengals would be good this year. And now it kind of looks like they're all kind of mid at best.
It's so stunning too for the Ravens to have like preseason, like half of the people I think were predicting them to come out of the AFC to be the Super Bowl winner or at least contend for it. If you wasn't picking them, you're picking the Chiefs or the Bills in my book. And they've just fallen. It's not even close. And Lamar hasn't even been playing at a level that you expect him to. It's been terrible.
No, Lamar has been tough. Jake, you were at the Falcons game today, and we lost 37-9. Break it down for us.
Yeah, we need to fire Raheem Morris. We need to fire. No, it's not even a joke at this point. Like, I'm not even kidding. We need to fire every single coach in this building. We need to fire Rich McKay. We need to fire Terry Fontenot. We need to probably need to trade Drake London. We probably need to trade Bijan Robinson. Probably need to trade. We need to trade everybody. Hey, listen, this is something that I've been talking about. Is we today clinched our 8th straight losing season, 8 years in a row. Losing seasons, not missing the playoffs. That is also going to be 8 years because we were also eliminated from the playoffs today. But 8 straight losing seasons, below 500 seasons. It's completely unacceptable. And we have been reluctant to do a full rebuild ever since the end of the Matt Ryan era. We just tried to, plug and play, like, okay, we're going to draft this really good tight end at number 4 overall. Okay, that didn't work. All right, we're going to draft this really good wide receiver at number 7. We're number 8. And he is really good. Drake London is really good. But we need more than that. We're going to draft this really good running back at 8, and he's really dang good. But we need more than that. Drafting James Pierce and Jalen Walker, I think, was a great decision, honestly, because they are both really good, and I think they're going to be really good players for a very long time. But it's just there is so many holes in this team. They have the worst special teams in the entire National Football League, and it bites us in the butt every single week. The first half of this game was ugly. It was really boring, but we went to halftime tied 6-6, and it was like, okay, I mean, I don't think we're going to win, but maybe we can at least keep it close. Bang, they return the opening kickoff for a touchdown. We don't do anything with the ball. They get it. Bang, they go down the field and they score. And just like that, it was 20-6. I'll say this. The best part of this game was at halftime, they had a corgi race, and that was really electric.
They were showing that thing nonstop on TV.
It was pretty sweet. But besides that, I mean, the game was an absolute disaster. And then also, I think what's really telling is you can watch the difference in what the Seahawks were doing in the second half versus the first half, right? They went to halftime. They identified what the issues were, and they came out the second half a different team, and they were attacking the defense in different ways. The Falcons just do the same shit, and it's just, hey, we're gonna do this, and if it doesn't work, then we're gonna continue to do it, and that is just so stupid. And we are ran by morons, and we'll never be good as long as we're just gonna accept this. And I said it a few weeks ago, and I said it kind of half joking, but until Raheem Morris is gone, I'm no longer supporting this team. I'm no longer watching this team. I'm not going to talk about them. They don't deserve my attention. They don't deserve anyone's attention. There's a part of me that hated that I went to that game today and I bought a Philly cheesesteak and some Dippin' Dots, and that money is going to Arthur Blank. Like, I'm being so serious, and I was waiting in line for it. That thought did cross my mind. Like, I hate that I'm making this guy money. There is one redeemable part for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's Mercedes-Benz Stadium is sick. It is so cool, and I forgot how cool it was because it's been a while since I've been inside. That place is insane. But besides that, the team that plays sucks. Okay, one little quick stat for y'all. The Atlanta Falcons and the Georgia Bulldogs have the same amount of wins inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium this year. Georgia's played in there twice. This was the 7th, I think, 6th or 7th, 6-7 home game for the Falcons. So it's embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. Go Jaguars. I hate this team.
Dude, that's an incredible stat that Georgia's won more games in that stadium than you guys have. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. Special teams was the part that stuck out to me about the Falcons game. I was able to actually sit down and watch it today. Not only did you have a blocked field goal, but then you gave it the kickoff return touchdown, and you have a little bit of spark on a return at one point in the game, but it's bleak, dude. And you're right. It just seems incompetent on both sides of the ball as to what's going on. And I don't know what Sam Darnold took at halftime, but him and Jackson Smith and Jigba came out steamrolling. It was happening quick too. So Also want to get you guys' thoughts on the Mooney catch, but he was out of bounds, touchdown called back
Well,
in the game.
I thought that was
Um,
BS because it looks like he was pushed out, like he was directed out by the corner. Like I don't, and the whole time Raheem Morris just has his dang arms, in a twisted and chewing gum and staring at the halo board. Like get in the guy's face and yell at him. Like what are you doing? He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Well, did he get pushed out of bounds? I thought he had 2 feet back in bounds. I thought he reestablished, and they're going to sit there and say, no, that's incomplete. I thought that was BS.
Yeah, I agree.
And even the guy on TV said, like, Mike Pereira was like, if I was the referee for this game, that'd be a touchdown.
It's crazy to think like big plays like that because that was not too much time left before halftime. Like we take the lead at that point. Like who's to say the rest of the game doesn't go different? We probably still would have lost, but it wouldn't have been, 37-9, just an absolute
You
bloodbath.
would at least have
And,
10.
and I'll say this. Yes, I understand the Falcons suck and the Seahawks are really good this year. There's no excuse in the National Football League to ever lose by this amount of points. There's never an excuse. I don't care who's hurt. I don't care what your seasons look like. This is the National Football League we're talking about. This isn't Georgia playing Charlotte. These are professionals. There's no excuse to lose like this, especially when it's 6-6 at halftime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, preaching to the choir, dude. Speaking of preacher, I don't know if you guys saw, but that video I posted yesterday when we beat Alabama, somebody commented, "You should be a preacher." I thought that was a great comment. Okay, Titans beat the Browns 31-29 in an electric game. No one saw this coming. Shadur Sanders had over 300 yards passing. Tony Pollard ran for $160 and 2 touchdowns. Some guy named Fannin Jr., a tight end for Cleveland, had 8 catches for 114 yards. I mean,
no, don't see many of those anymore, Harold. There are not many Harolds walking around out there. Look, I don't know if you guys kept up with Harold Fannin in college, but he set the record for receptions as a tight end or something, like UTSA or wherever he was last year, New Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, he was a guy Eastern Michigan or Central Michigan or
Something.
Western Michigan.
It was a mid-major, but yeah, he was nuts in college.
Yeah, but the Titans get their second win of the year.
Man, I'll say what's interesting about this game. Now, obviously, being at the Falcons game, I didn't watch a lick of any other 1:00 games, and then driving, I missed all the 425s. So I don't have a lot to say for a lot of these games, but I do have something to say about this game. Shadur Sanders played really good. He played really good, and he led 2 late touchdown drives to get them in the game, and Kevin Stefanski took him out on the 2-point conversion to try and tie the game up and ran some cute ass wildcat, fake reverse throwback to try and tie the game. Like, what are you doing? And I'll say this, I have never been one to accept the whole thought process that Kevin Stefanski hates Shadur Sanders and he's just preying on his demise. I've never been one to accept that. I'm starting to think that might actually be legit now, because why would you do that? The guy's playing out of his mind. He played good football. I know, last week he had a 60-yard touchdown that was like a screen pass that went to the house. But today he was actually throwing the ball downfield and he was making good throws. He had a nice run as well. But taking him out there is just stupid. He was the best player on the field for the Browns today, and you took him off the field.
Yeah, that's incredible decision making there. Poop bowl, you'd call this. I mean, nobody expected this game to be worth anything. Nobody's got anything to play for. It's all about what you put on tape and what your contract's going to like next year. So these guys still out there competing. Myles Garrett, only 1 sack today. Kind of shocking. I think he said during the week he was going to get 4, which was a bold claim. That's a lot of sacks. But credit to Tennessee for getting a dub. Credit to Cam Ward making some insane plays this game, too. I don't know if you guys saw he literally pulled the Lagway at Florida State, got tackled, stiff arm, get off me D lineman, and then threw it.
Yeah, awesome game between a 2-11 and a 3-10 team. Insane, but yeah, it is that the 2-point play. It's so funny because they all these teams obviously practice 2-point plays. They have specific plays they use for 2-point things, and whatever that play was, for it to just get blown up so hard is quite funny because they probably practice it 100 times and it just didn't go right at all. Vikings, a couple stinkers here. Vikings smoked the Commanders 31-0. Jaden Daniels did play in this game and then got taken out. Apparently landed awkwardly on that hurt arm. I mean, bloodbath though. The Vikings finally showed some life, and 9 threw 3 touchdowns today. The Dolphins beat the Jets 34-10. Dolphins have won 4 games in a row, 34-10. I mean, some guy named is it Brady Cook was the quarterback for the Jets today? Look at that.
The
Look,
old Missouri Tigers quarterback?
Yeah, it was. Brady Cook was the quarterback for the Jets today. How about that?
really? What was wrong
Man.
with Tyron Taylor?
I don't know.
Also got hurt because he threw 4 passes in the game.
Brutal. And then the Saints beat the Buccaneers. Shocking result here, 24-20. And we talked about how bad the NFC South is. I mean, literally, if the Falcons they're eliminated from the playoffs at 4-9, and the Bucks are 7-6.
It's ridiculous. It's so bad. I'll tell you what the worst part is the Saints are probably in a better spot going forward than the Falcons, which is not something I would have ever imagined to say preseason or really up until like week 4 of this season. Like everyone was clowning the Saints as having like the worst roster in the NFL, in the preseason. And I'm not saying that they're good. I'm not saying they're in a good spot. I'm just saying the Falcons are in that bad of a spot that I think we're in a 2-3 team race with like the Browns and the Titans as like the worst like spots to be in the NFL. And I know we're talking about the Saints and the Bucks, but I'm on a tangent. Like, who are we going to hire? Who's going to want to come to this team? Who's going to want to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons? Who's going to want to be the general manager of this team? Who is going to want to do it? Nobody. Yeah. Not Bill Belichick. Anyone but Bill Belichick. I'll accept sucking even more. Just don't give me Belichick. I do not want Jordan. I do not need Jordan at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I do not need that. Do not need that.
I'd support it. Okay. Jags beat the Colts today, though.
Oh,
Jake,
yeah.
you want to cheer up? 36-19. Rough news, though. Just confirmed as of a couple minutes ago, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles in this game. So Riley Leonard was playing a majority of this game for the Colts. Colts season is getting washed away hard. They were 7-1. Now they're 8-5. Jags 9-4 though. Liam Cohen was in the locker room just bouncing around, jumping up. I mean, they've kind of caught some fire
He's
too.
awesome.
It seemed like a month ago, it seemed like they were going in the wrong direction, and they've really got it going.
Yeah, no, they have completely righted the ship. I mean, it's huge to say because I have a take, and I'm going to throw it out here. I think the Jags are Super Bowl contenders. At how they're playing right now, I think they are. I think they have good enough weapons on offense. I think they have proven commodities on defense that can rush the passer, that we can defend the run, we can defend the pass. And Trevor Lawrence is playing some football, man. He's playing good football. I understand 17 for 30 is not great, but the guy's making really good throws. Another huge get for the Jags. Like when they got him at the trade deadline, I was like, okay, that's good, but whatever. Jacoby Myers, since he has put on a Jaguars uniform, has worked wonders for Trevor Lawrence, because I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a really good wide receiver, but he has limitations. He's scared to run across the middle of the field. He's a big, just go guy, deep post, takeoff route. That's really like his forte. Jacoby Myers has opened up the middle of the field again for Trevor Lawrence. And I'll say this, when we're talking coach of the year, I'm probably going to give my theoretical vote to Ben Johnson. Liam Cohen's right there behind him. Right there behind him. And I think he has every right to be, because let's not forget, the Jaguars have been pretty miserable the last 2 seasons. Miserable. And he's turned them into a 9-14, a huge win. Huge win. I don't even care. Like, yeah, it sucks that for Daniel Jones that he's hurt, but the AFC South is the Jaguars to lose at this point. And they got a winnable game again next week to get to 10-4. Jags are in a good spot. They're in a really, 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 really good spot. And one more other thing I'm going to say about this is, I remember before the season, I was kind of writing off Travis Etienne. I was thinking, okay, this is it for him. He's washed. He's having one of his best seasons of his career this year. I wonder why that's happening. Maybe it's the guy who turned Bucky Irving and Rashad White into really good running backs. He knows what to do. He knows how to run the football.
Coaching matters.
It does.
That's what I've heard. And you can see it here once again. It's amazing that you're talking about coaching, that the Indianapolis Colts have looked so abysmal here lately, but I really wish they would not have trotted Daniel Jones back out there, because part of me feels like that Achilles was probably going to tear no matter what he did, because he's putting so much weight on that other leg.
Sorry to cut you off, Caleb, but let me say something. It was the other leg.
No, that's what I'm saying. He had to brace on the other leg so much because he couldn't stand on the one that's broken. He was putting too much stress on that.
That's fair. That's fair. I didn't think.
I just don't. And now, like, you look at what the Colts got left in the QB room. Like, Riley Leonard is the only guy that's left that's healthy on the whole active roster, because Anthony Richardson got hurt in pregame warmups earlier this year. If anybody's forgotten, he's on the IR. And I think Brett Rippon is their P Squad quarterback last I checked. And there's not many people left on the open market just out there that you can just go sign. So it's going to be dire for them to be an 8-5 team and be staring down with what I would call an underwhelming quarterback. Like even in the evaluation of the draft last year, Riley Leonard wasn't in my probably top 10 of quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
rough scenes.
And they traded away 2 first-round picks for a cornerback, and I remember at the time that trade happened, I was critical on it, like, hey, maybe they're hot, and they go on a run, and they win the Super Bowl, and Sauce Gardner plays a really good part in that, but now, okay, now they're down to 8-4 and 8-5,
And
and
Sauce is hurt.
Sauce is hurt. You don't have a first-round pick next year. Like, I guess they can, just pray that Daniel Jones is able to come back next year and be the guy that he was for the better part of this year. But who's to say? Like, I hate to be this person to wave the flag, but dude, he's been terrible his entire career. And then this year he had, 7 good games. Like, are we going to base the franchise around him? And I'm pretty sure you got to give him I'm actually positive you got to give him a new contract after this year because he was signed on a 1-year, prove it deal. Like, are you gonna give a guy who has a fractured femur and a torn Achilles and 5 years of bad football? Like, are you gonna give him a big contract? No, probably not. So what's their plan? Like, what's their plan? You don't have a first round pick. Are we going back to AR? They're in a bad spot. They're in a bad spot. They should not have made that trade. And obviously, I know, like, looking back, it's easy to say that. But to be fair to us three, I don't think a single one of us were like, okay, this is what the Colts needed. They needed this lockdown corner to make the run.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely a tough spot. You do not want to not have 2 first-round picks and not make the playoffs. Broncos beat the Raiders 24-17. Not sure if you guys saw the end of this game. Obviously, Broncos beating the Raiders, not that crazy of a thing. But the end of this game, the Raiders kicked a field goal as time expired to cover the 8.5 point spread, and it went over. It was 24-14. There was a delay of game on the defense that they threw a pass. It was complete. Game was about to be over. And then they pulled a delay of game, so there was a clock stoppage for the Raiders. And then the Raiders sent the field goal team out with like 5 seconds on the clock in the game and kicked a field goal to lose the game by 7. Some are saying there was some sketchiness to that.
It is sketchy, but listen, I am pro gambling, but gambling has like ruined like football in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
So the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And then, hey, this timeout is brought to you by DraftKings. This instant review is brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. It's just everywhere, and it's hard to how can you say that something isn't rigged at this point? And part of me just misses the days, growing up, or I don't know, maybe this is like a boomer take, but part of me just misses the days where it's like, if you wanted to bet, you had to bet on your bookie, and it wasn't like legal in all these states and like forced down your throat. And it's like, here's the Kay Adams anytime touchdown parlay today, bet it on FanDuel. It's everywhere. And then when you have stuff like this happen, because listen, I'll say this, it is very suspicious. It's incredibly suspicious. But what if, Pete Carroll's having a really bad season. He saw an opportunity to get 3 more points, and he said, all right, maybe we can lose by 7. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world to think that this wasn't some big elaborate plot, but a lot of people lost some money on this. And I'd be really interested to look up how many bets were on them to cover versus not cover, how many bets were on the under versus the over, and see, did Vegas make a lot of money on this happening the way it did?
Yeah, definitely odd. When I read the tweet about this at first, when the game ended or whatever, and was thinking, all right, well, what is situationally, what would make sense? Did they have timeouts? Could they have thinking maybe, we kick the field goal, we do the onside kick, we recover, throw a Hail Mary? Is that what we're trying to do? Because, you could get back to a ball game doing that, but it doesn't sound like there was enough time for that. It doesn't seem like there was a rhyme or reason for them to be doing this. Yeah, odd, but it didn't change much of the outcome of the game unless you're gambling on it.
Yeah, which I'm sure a lot of people were.
Yeah.
The Rams smoked the Cardinals 45-17. Got to mention that, but the Rams stay hot. And then I just watched this game end earlier. The Bears played the Packers. Packers win 28-21. Electric fourth quarter in this game. The Packers were up 14-3 at half, kind of had control, and then the Bears offense, especially in the run game, DeAndre Swift and just the play calling, play
Got
action,
it.
everything they had going was beautiful, and they were able to tie this game, and then they were able to get a chance to tie it back up at the end of the game, and Caleb Williams throws an interception. And if you haven't seen the video, DJ Moore was wide open underneath. So there's, obviously the diva DJ Moore stuff going back around.
He was pissed about it too. He let it be known on the camera.
Yeah, so shocker, DJ Moore is being, in channeling his inner AJ Brown, but the Packers get a big win. They're now at the top of the NFC North, 9-3-1. So huge win. They continue to dominate the rivalry there.
Yeah, no, huge win for him. Huge win for him. I mean, this would have been a huge win for either side because it, really gives you that 2-game bump coming into the, latter part of this year. But yeah, huge win. And, kind of like we were talking about the Georgia Bulldogs coming into playing their best football when it's starting to get cold and championships and trophies are on the line. The Packers are trying to play good ball. I would look out for them to get hot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wish it would have snowed a little bit more than what was in the forecast today for it to be such a cold game. It was cool to see like Kevin Burkhardt beginning the game talking to Tom, and like you can see their breath on camera. And this is supposed to be in the broadcast booth where it's somewhat warm, but that was not the case. Classic beat you up kind of game like we talked about. I was really impressed with Caleb Williams' ability to like extend plays and get out of the jam. He did that so much and was able to scramble with his feet a little bit. I know he only had 10 passing yards at halftime, and that's a credit to Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, who was able to, keep him very disrupted all game long. Like he had to get out of there in order to have any chance to make a place. Didn't come away with this thing. Caleb Williams was a problem. We'll say that candidly. I thought that the Green Bay Packers' speed got to the Bears' defense at certain points. Christian Watson was able to break loose a couple of times. They also had a bust coverage. So huge win. Huge win. Shakes up the entire NFC as well in terms of the outlook. Now I think Seattle's a 1 seed, right?
Yeah, I think Seattle and the Rams both have 10 wins, so I think they're tied, or maybe the Seahawks beat them. So, or did they? Hold on. Let me see. Let's check it out. No, so I think the Rams are number 1 because the Rams beat Seahawks, but so that's going to be fun. I think they play on Thursday night in a couple weeks, and that'll probably, decide the 1 seed and potentially in the NFC. It'll be just like last year. Remember last year we had the Lions and the Vikings, play that final game. That was really exciting. That's the thing about the NFL, though. You can be the second best team in the conference, and you're not getting anything better than a 5 seed. So we'll see how that plays out. Right now, Texans are up 10-0 on the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said on the last podcast, big game for the Chiefs to stay alive in the playoff race. Okay, let's do our players of the week. Last week, Diego Pavia won the award, so Jake gets that one. I pick them a bunch. No one ever wants them, and then I don't pick them, and then Jake gets them. So congrats to Jake for that. The standings are now Jake and Caleb tied at 5 and me at 4. So I will go first here this time. I'm going to go with Puka Nacua. I posted a clip earlier. I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. He had 7 catches today, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Highlight catch where you basically just Randy Moss the defender. He is just having an absolute, and I think Jackson Smith and Jigba and him are 1-2. That's why their teams are so good. But I'm going to go with Puka this week for hopefully a win.
Well, you took my first choice, so I'm going to go with my second choice. But I'm going to call it perfect timing. I'm going Shedeur Sanders as my player of the week this week.
No.
64 yards, 4 total touchdowns. 3 in the air, 1 on the ground, made some insane plays. A lot of people probably did not watch this. I was able to try and throw this up on, those websites that you're not supposed to watch stuff on, but, because they're illegal and you're apparently, I don't have, the rich people stuff like NFL Sunday Ticket, unlike some people here. So I have to find different ways to see this game. Still tuned in. Shedeur played his tail off, and he deserves the player of the week this week.
Man, I did not think anyone was going to take Shedeur Sanders. I thought that was a walk in the park for Jakey boy. Okay, let me pull up these stats. Hold on. Damn it, I really wanted Shedeur. So for this, I was actually in attendance for this game, when I'm going to pick, and I was actually sitting by his mom, believe it or not. But Jackson Smith and Jigba's mom wears a jersey to the games that says Jackson's mom on the back. So it's not very hard to pick out, hey, I think that's Jackson Smith and Jigba's mom. Oh, well, the back of her jersey said it's just Jackson's mom. So it's a little easy to pick out. But a really good game for JSN. 7 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day for JSN. And he just continues to widen the gap. I think of him being like what Garrison said. I think it's 1-2. It's JSN and it's Puka Nacua in any given order, or whatever you want to say.
All right, before we get out of here, we'll do our deep thoughts of the week as well. I'm going to start out here. We obviously had the playoff rankings come out. We had the playoff set, but as a college football fan, I want people to remember that it's also bowl season. I mean, you could argue it's some of the best times, best games, best moments you'll see all year, from the Pop-Tart Bowl and doing all their crazy stuff to, some of the pageantry around these bowl games. There's an Xbox Bowl this year. Excited to see how that looks. Got the bucked up LA Bowl. Love just seeing all the different sponsorships we get. I think Texas, Michigan in the Citrus Bowl is going to be a great matchup. We got things like Vandy and Iowa going against each other. So I really enjoy the bowl season. And I also Jake, I'm not sure if you've seen the news, but apparently Georgia Southern is having a hard time finding. Oh, actually, they just found their opponent. So it actually was just announced. So today it seemed that Georgia Southern is in the Birmingham Bowl, and no one was willing to accept it because there was a couple teams that opted out, like Kansas State and Iowa State. They opted out of their playing in bowl games, which really sucks. I don't like Notre Dame. Obviously, I don't know if we really touch on that. They opted out of playing in a bowl game, so that's sad to see. But Georgia Southern, the Birmingham Bowl, reached out to multiple teams such as Florida State, UCF, Auburn, Rutgers, Baylor, all turned down to play Georgia Southern in the Birmingham Bowl. But it has just been announced that App State is going to be taking the spot against Georgia Southern after multiple teams have declined. So we've got a couple 5 and 7 teams. I know Mississippi State is also going to play in a bowl game because of all the teams that are opting out. They're playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowls. Just cherish bowl season, people. I know it's not what it used to be, but I still love you get to see a lot of matchups you would have never seen before. And shout out to the Kennesaw State Owls. They're playing in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Also won the Conference USA Championship on Friday night. Electric final drive if you didn't see it. Had 2 crazy, 3rd and 27 that they got, and then like a 4th and 12 that they got. So proud of the Owls. Are playing Western Michigan in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So the MAC champs versus Conference USA champs. Love bowl season. Very excited.
So this isn't going to be my deep thought, but I do want to have like a mini deep thought on Notre Dame declining their bowl, going to play in a bowl, whatever. We have given Florida State a lot of slack for them in 20 whatever when they were undefeated and didn't, they sat a bunch of people and lost by 60 in the Orange Bowl. At least they showed up. I will say that. At least they fielded a team and showed up to get beat by 60 points. Notre Dame not playing in the bowl game is otherworldly soft. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous though. Notre Dame, I mean, that was a total, diva move. Like, we're not getting what we want, so we're not coming out to play. Like,
I'll add on to that too, because I'm with you, and I didn't want to make it my deep thought. I figured somebody else to cover it too, but it's disgusting to me. Completely and utterly disgusting. I understand that they would be mad that they were like the rankings thing was coming out to show them that they were in and they got that false hope, but your football is a sport of warriors. So like that, basically what they just did is they didn't convert on 4th down and they just took their ball and left. And there's still, a quarter left in the game.
My deep thought has to do with the college football playoff rankings again. I feel like that's probably going to be Caleb's as well. And we're just going to cover all things college football playoff today. Maybe not. I am going to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes dropping from number 1 in the country to number 2. If you remember, just a few years ago, the University of Georgia was coming off back-to-back national championships. They were number 1 in the country. They lost in the SEC championship game by 3 points and fell from number 1 to number 6. Now, obviously, I understand we're comparing a 14 playoff to a 12-team playoff, and in a lot of cases, you can't do that well. You can't. But in this situation, I want to know what the heck is different between the back-to-back national championship Georgia Bulldogs falling 5 spots for losing by 3 points, and then what's the difference between Ohio State yesterday losing by 3 points, the defending national champions, and just swapping spots? For the record, I'm not calling for Ohio State to drop out of the top 4 and not get a bye and give a bye to, Oregon or whatever. How did they not at least go to 3? How did Georgia not at least get the number 2 spot?
I agree. I mean, I thought that was crazy. I mean, it's literally just, I mean, just think about it for a second. Georgia beat the absolute dog piss of Alabama on Saturday. Ohio State couldn't muster up 2 touchdowns against Indiana. I mean, it's it boggled my mind, really. Like I understand, like, they're trying maybe not to punish people for playing in these conference championships and whatever, but how do you not just reward Georgia for winning? That like, they won the game convincingly. You tell me they don't deserve to move up a spot?
It makes no sense. You cannot make it make sense.
Yeah, that 2023 situation. Everyone loves to talk about Florida State getting screwed, which I'm not saying they didn't, but Georgia, I mean, come on. I mean, that was,
We were robbed of a three-peat. We would have won the national championship that year.
yeah, agreed.
Well, you were right. My deep thought is on something with the playoff, but it's not tied to what you guys have talked about yet. I want to give a little hate to somebody. His name's Kirk Herbstreit. If you were listening to the playoff reveal today, his response to the Notre Dame Miami discourse was, well, if there were 16 teams, we wouldn't have this issue. Okay, Kirk.
Oh
And then
my
number
God.
17's going to bitch, Kirk. What, like, I thought he had college football's best interest in his heart and mind, and to think that he's going on a TV show that, I mean, there's a lot of people that took day out of their Sunday to watch that thing today and hear the analysis about it and see what Hunter Yurchek was going to say and what he was going to talk about regarding the selection process. And he's going to go out there and parade the take that there needs to be 16 teams. Like, it almost makes me feel like he's like a paid asset to somebody that wants more playoff games or something. Like, I don't patently understand why we're having a 12-team playoff right here, right now, and we just witnessed today. Now, he didn't see this because it would happen before that, but like, you got Notre Dame opting out in response to this stuff. Do you think it's going to get better at 16? And do we really want the number 17 team in the country complaining about not having an opportunity to win a championship because they probably had 3 or 4 losses anyways, but then to give them the precedent to say, I don't want to play a bowl game. We're good. We're good. I think it's just the whole problem continues to show up. Like, there's a softening of the sport. We're already complaining like 10 years ago. Dude, if you lost 2 games before November, you weren't thinking about postseason like that. Like, it was
Mhm.
it was a wrap. It was a wrap. And now these teams that are 9-3 are going to bitch about it. And so, we leave a 10-2 Notre Dame out, who lost to 2 of the teams that are in the playoff in front of them, and by the selection committee process and standards, or anybody that has common sense, like, when you boiled it down, yeah, if they're back to each other and they're going for the last spot, you're going to take the person that won. And I think it's a shame that they're going to reserve, people in general are just resorting to say that we need more playoff spots. No, you need to play better football.
Yeah, and Notre Dame's AD was on the Pat McAfee show on Friday, and I watched it, and Kirk was on there when they were talking about it, and that was one of the things that the Notre Dame AD was adamant about, that, like, he thinks that they're going to go to 16. So I think Kirk obviously just trying to back up Notre Dame's objective.
Maybe. I just think also, too, they need to get away from doing the TV rankings reveal like every week. Like, they don't need to do this shit till the end of the season, because if you never told Notre Dame they were 9 or 10 or 11 or whatever they ended up being, it wouldn't have been a damn problem. You could have just kept your mouth shut, and then we're not worried about it during the season. I think it would eliminate distractions for programs just in general. Nobody cares about the AP vote as it is, but you would just try and do what you could with your best with your season. And the bottom line is, you shouldn't need to know what your ranking is anyways, depending on what game you're going to play. The goal is to win. It doesn't matter like, oh, well, we can win, but if we lose, it will be okay. No, there's no football mindset that's going to allow you to be successful and think that at the same time. So the rankings, Nick would call them rat poison. That's what they are, but then they're also not necessary. And they have clearly caused drama this year already and in years past.
That's what they love about it. They love just having that drama build up. But I'm with you. Could you imagine just like not having any rankings until Selection Sunday? Which, I mean, like, college basketball has rankings, but they're not like set like this. Like, it's just, they have the 32 AQs and then they just pick random, like no matter what. So I thought would be awesome, honestly, if we had just no clue going into the day. Like,
I think it would be so cool. Like, even at the if you want to do something, do it before rivalry week, like right before Bama and Auburn are about to play each other, and all these other big Texas A&M. Because somebody that's in it's going to be affected. Like, just come out with the first reveal then, because at least you'll have a much better guess and data set to like judge the teams on for where you want to place them. You're not going to be too far off from what's going to go on.
Yeah, but just to put this out there, that is never going to happen because I guarantee you those ratings on Tuesday night are off the chains and they make so much money. And but I do agree. Just for the record, I agree. It probably should be like that. Josh was talking about it today, but it should, but it won't.
I have not listened to his show yet. Full disclaimer.
You're just linked in with them.
all right, well, that will wrap up episode 35. So 35 are going to have hopefully a great playoff, though. I'm excited that the first games are in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. We will see you guys in a couple days. Again, thanks so much for the support, hitting over 2,000 followers. Let's keep it going. We'll see you guys in a couple days. Deep shout out.